Hello everyone, and thank you for purchasing the single lid TV unit by MoveModern. In this video, I'm going to show you how to assemble the TV unit. First, let's start with the metal part. So we have two squares and a metal part that goes in between the two of them. Grab one of the square parts and make sure you notice the holes on one side. Set it down. Grab the long piece and make sure you notice the holes on one side. And make sure both holes are facing the same direction as you place the metal into the square cubes. After that, you can put that down. Grab the other square and place that into the other end while the holes are aligned. Once you put those together, we're gonna tie them up with the screws on each corner. So grab 4 of the screws and first screw them on with your hands. So once we place them with our hands, we can use the Allen wrench to screw them on really tightly. Okay, so once that's completed, you can set the legs aside to get the bottom piece of the furniture. So this is the bottom wood piece of the TV unit, and you'll notice that there are 2 holes at the bottom there. Make sure that's facing towards you to begin with. So the 2 holes are facing towards me, and then put it down and have the side without any holes facing up. What we're gonna do first is we're gonna place the metal legs into the middle of this bottom piece. Once you place the metal leg on top of the bottom piece, try to center it on the wood piece. And that should be about 2 1/4 inches from each side. Once you have it centered, you're gonna grab the long screws and screw each of the holes down, starting with the center one. After you screw those on, you wanna go through each one again and make sure they're super tight again. Once you've attached the metal legs, you can flip the whole unit upside down or right side up. And now you'll notice that there are holes at this side of the wood. We're gonna make sure that these 2 holes are facing towards us. That means the back of the unit is facing towards yourself. Then on these 2 holes on each side, we're gonna put our metal rods. So we have 2 holes on each side and 2 holes in the middle. We're gonna put the metal rods on each of those holes. Then on these 2 holes that are facing towards us, we're gonna put the black rods. And to make sure they're really in there, I'm gonna hammer them in. So you can use a hammer to really make sure they're in there. All right, so once we got those in, we're gonna place the side pieces and the center piece onto this. Place the left side piece. We're gonna make sure that these 2 holes are facing more towards the front of the unit, so that we can attach the lid to that. For the centerpiece, it doesn't really matter which side it's facing. Just make sure that these 2 holes are towards the front of the unit. That's where we're gonna attach the lid. All right, once we got these pieces placed, we're gonna take the circular screws, and you can see that there's a little arrow there. Make sure the arrow is pointing down and place it inside the circular holes. And then use a screwdriver and tighten it, and do the same thing for all the lower pieces over here. Make sure all of those are really, really tight. And then there's gonna be a back panel to this whole thing. So we're gonna take this guy. Doesn't really matter which side you do it from. Both sides have the holes, and just place it on top of those black rods. So I've placed the top piece upside down for now. The holes are facing up, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna put the black little rods on these 2 holes and the metal rods on the holes on the sides in the middle. Let's flip this around and then put it in. To really secure this top piece, to everything else. We're gonna use those little circular things one more time, and the arrow this time should be pointing up. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put a part of the hinge to the front of the section where the lid is gonna be. Grab one of these lids, and you'll notice that on one side there's a screw, on the other side there isn't. Place it so that the screw is closer towards you. And then grab two of the short screws to screw that in on both sides. If you don't have much space for a power tool, you can also use a regular screwdriver to screw these in. So I'm going to take the other hinge and then place it on this side. And the holes are specified there, so again, remember the screw should be facing towards you. Next up, we're going to close this up. So I'm going to put the whole unit face down, and let's grab that white piece of thin wood. So the white section, so one part is brown, the other part is white. The white is going to be facing down towards the unit, and I'm going to align it up to cover that whole gap. So I'll start with these two corners first, and then do the middle, and then do the other part. We're going to nail each of those corners in, starting with this corner right here. To make sure the whole thing is flat, I'm going to do these two corners, and then the middle, and then the other two corners. After that, you can just lift the whole thing up, is the lid. And you'll notice it has two large holes at the bottom over here. Inside there, we're going to place the other side of the hinges. So they just go inside the little circle. And be sure to use the shorter screws to screw these in. Next up, we have the holding piece for the lid. So on this one, simply make sure that you're attached entirely onto the wood. And we're going to use those short screws again to fix this onto the board. So once this is ready to go, set that aside. And let's lift this furniture right side up. We're going to attach this board onto the hinges that we had there before. So it's like a tiny sliding motion. So you're going to slowly slide the hinge onto the other hinge. And you can test it out by closing. Then next up, we're going to put this guy on the two holes here and attach this part onto the two holes here so that this can close supported by the metal. To do the lid part, you might have to lift up the lid a little bit to make sure those holes align, and then screw it on that way. Thank you for watching, and enjoy your MoveModern TV unit with the single lid.